episode 419 of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. I will be talking about tonight's episodes of WWE, NXT, and Dark Side of the Ring featuring Magnum TA right here, right now. 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Hello, Wrestling Fanatics. Welcome to tonight's episode. Lance Brock here as always. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Hope everyone had a great day today. As I mentioned in that little preview thing there, we'll be talking about tonight's new episodes of WWE NXT and this week's episode of Dark Side of the Ring featuring Magnum TA. And let's get right into it. Let's talk about WWE NXT live on USA Tonight from the WWE Performance Center. Our commentators tonight, Vic Joseph and Booker T. And we start things off, Baron Corbin, or as they call him now, Free Agent Baron Corbin, after he showed up last week and attacked the NXT champion, and he cuts a promo talking bad about the NXT roster, and he will take on Trick Williams tonight. In our opening match of NXT this week, we have Schism, Ava Raine, and the Triad defeat Diamond Mine, Ivy Nile, and the Creed brothers in a 6-person tag team match. Ava gets the pin over Ivy, and I thought this was actually an okay match. I wouldn't say it was real great or anything, but definitely not bad. Just okay, I would say. And B. Priestley defeats Danny Palmer, or the former B. Priestley, I should say. What's her name now? Let me see. Oh yeah, Blair Davenport. I forgot. Of course, B. Priestley had a brief stint in the beginning of AEW, and then for some reason went to WWE. And Baron Corbin defeated Trick Williams. Mustafa Ali defeats Joe Gacy. Eddie Thorpe defeats Damian Kemp. Scripps defeated Dabba-Kato. And in the main event of NXT this week, the Women's Battle Royal to determine the new number one contender for the NXT Women's Championship, it is Tia Hale, winning this one, representing Chase U. I have to admit, Hale, I don't know why I keep wanting to say Hall, but Tia Hale is one that I actually do enjoy on NXT. Not sure why, but I just really enjoy the gimmick because the rest of Chase U, I really don't care for. But Tia Hale, I think, is one that could actually go on and be a pretty big star. I just like the personality and the character and everything. But the rest of Chase U, don't really care for as much. And as I said, she wins this women's battle royal tonight on NXT to become the new number one contender for the NXT Women's Championship. And now, that was NXT. Pretty good episode tonight, I thought. Wasn't really that great, but a little better than normal, I would say. Because, as I have said before, and I don't mean to be disrespectful or rude, but I would say out of all the pro wrestling shows on TV or streaming online, whichever, I'd say the one I'm probably least interested in is NXT. I watch it every week. I have it on USA, but it's the hardest one for me to really pay attention to. I have it on, and a lot of times I get distracted, and I end up not paying attention to a lot of it just because it doesn't really get my interest. And see, I went and forgot one of the big news stories coming from NXT tonight. Former NXT champion Braun Breaker called out the World Heavyweight Champion from Monday Night Raw, Seth freaking Rollins, to come to NXT and defend that World Heavyweight Championship against him. Who knows if we will actually see that match or not, or when we will see it. Possibly, I don't know if they would do that at the next NXT Premium Live event, which is the Great American Bash. That remains to be seen, but that probably the biggest news story coming from tonight's NXT. And now let's go over to Vice and talk about the newest episode of Dark Side of the Ring. And this week it was featuring Magnum TA, Terry Allen, and I have heard the story kind of course, the TA part is from his initials, his name Terry Allen, and talked about how he looks like Tom Selleck. Of course, at the time, Magnum PI, very popular show, but I didn't know, or maybe I just forgot, but I don't remember hearing that Andre the Giant was actually the one that came up with calling him Magnum TA. But this one was a very good episode, I thought. Definitely very interesting. Had some good interviews. As usual, Jim Cornette was interviewed, and Magnum TA himself was interviewed. His ex-wife, Jimmy Garvin, David Crockett, Nikita Koloff, and others. Bill Apter was also interviewed. Definitely a very interesting episode, and it's one that it's kind of good because yes, his it was bad that the car accident happened. His career was cut short, but it's not an episode like some of the others that was based on a real horrible tragedy. And yes, like I said, it does talks about his career being cut short with the car accident, but other than that, still a good episode though. And speaking of the car accident, I've heard this before, and they talked about how he was set to defeat Ric Flair for the NWA World Title. They were going to have him be the top babyface of the NWA at the time, and we're talking about the feud he had with gorgeous Jimmy Garvin, and definitely, I would say I was still a little too young, probably around that time when his career, when he was really getting popular and getting over at that time. But I definitely have gone back and watched videos of his matches and his promos. Definitely a good worker in the ring, and definitely a good character. I'm sure him and Ric Flair would have had a really good feud over the NWA World Title. And also tonight on the episode talked about his close relationship with the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. And that was tonight's episode of Dark Side of the Ring. Again, very good one. If you have not seen it yet, I definitely recommend checking it out if you can. I have not seen yet which episode will be airing next week. I'll have to check online. You can probably find somewhere probably the order of the episodes of what they'll be airing in this season. But very good. And I know there's this is the second one, and I know there's going to be other good episodes this season. So I definitely recommend checking this season out of Dark Side of the Ring. And that's all for this episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Thank you everyone for tuning in tonight. Hope everyone enjoyed NXT and Dark Side of the Ring. Let me know what you thought of both of the shows tonight in the comment section on Spreaker or whichever website or whichever app you listen to 360 Wrestling Podcast on. Let me know your opinions of NXT, Dark Side of the Ring, or if you have any other questions, comments, or anything else you want to say, right there in the comment section. Or you can email me 360wrestlingpodcasts@gmail.com. Also, if you have a business or a company you want to advertise on 360 Wrestling Podcast, let me know. Hopefully we can work something out. The email, once again, 360wrestlingpodcasts@gmail.com. And that's all for tonight's episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic, episode 419. Hope to have an episode tomorrow night talking about AEW Dynamite. Tony Khan is scheduled to announce the main event of the first episode of AEW Saturday Collision. But first, I will be back tomorrow morning for the Wednesday episode of Good Morning Wrestling Fans. And as the weekly routine, I will be previewing tomorrow night's episode of AEW Dynamite. But that is all for tonight, and I will talk to everyone tomorrow morning and then tomorrow evening for 360 Wrestling Fanatic. So hope everybody will be tuning in to those shows tomorrow. But until then, I am Lance and I am a wrestling fanatic.